What if the line between good and evil is thinner than we think? What if ordinary people, placed in certain situations, can commit acts they never imagined themselves capable of? And what if evil is not a matter of personality alone, but a product of powerful social forces? These are the unsettling questions explored in The Lucifer Effect by Philip Zimbardo, a book that examines how good people can turn bad under certain conditions. Zimbardo begins with a bold claim. Most people like to believe that evil actions are committed by evil individuals. We imagine villains as fundamentally different from ourselves. This belief protects our sense of safety and moral superiority. But Zimbardo argues that this view is dangerously simplistic. Under certain circumstances, almost anyone can behave in ways that contradict their values. The foundation of the book is the Stanford Prison Experiment, a psychological study conducted in 1971. In this experiment, college students were randomly assigned to roles of guards and prisoners in a simulated prison. Within days, the situation spiraled out of control. Guards became abusive and authoritarian. Prisoners became passive and distressed. The experiment had to be stopped early because the environment had transformed normal students into participants in cruelty. Zimbardo uses this study to illustrate a powerful concept. Situations can shape behavior more than personality. When roles, authority, anonymity, and power dynamics combine, individuals may act in ways that surprise even themselves. The prison environment created conditions that encouraged aggression, dehumanization, and obedience. One of the key themes in the Lucifer Effect is the power of situational forces. Humans are highly responsive to context. Uniforms, titles, group norms, and authority figures all influence behavior. When responsibility is diffused and accountability is reduced, moral restraint weakens. Under these conditions, harmful behavior becomes easier. Zimbardo introduces the idea of de-individuation. When individuals feel anonymous within a group, they are less likely to follow personal moral standards. Masks, uniforms, or even online anonymity can reduce self-awareness. This makes it easier to engage in behavior that would normally trigger guilt or shame. Another major concept in the book is dehumanization. When people are labeled, categorized, or treated as less than human, empathy decreases. Dehumanization creates psychological distance, making cruelty feel justified. Throughout history, acts of violence have often been preceded by language and narratives that strip victims of humanity. Zimbardo also examines obedience to authority. Drawing from classic psychological studies, he explains how ordinary people comply with orders from authority figures, even when those orders conflict with personal values. Authority reduces perceived responsibility. People tell themselves they are just following instructions. The book connects these psychological insights to real-world events, including abuses in military prisons. Zimbardo argues that systemic factors, such as unclear rules, lack of oversight, stress, and power imbalance, can create environments where abuse flourishes. Blaming individuals alone ignores the broader forces at work. The Lucifer Effect challenges the idea of the fundamental attribution error. This is the tendency to attribute others' behavior to their character while attributing our own behavior to circumstances. Zimbardo argues that we underestimate the power of situations and overestimate personal traits. Recognizing this bias is crucial for understanding behavior. Another important theme is moral disengagement. People rationalize harmful behavior through language and justification. They minimize consequences, shift blame, or redefine actions as necessary. These cognitive strategies allow individuals to commit harmful acts without feeling immoral. Zimbardo also explores how small steps lead to larger transgressions. Harmful behavior rarely begins with extreme acts. It starts with minor rule bending, small compromises, and gradual escalation. Each step makes the next easier. Over time, people drift further from their values without noticing. The book also discusses the bystander effect. When responsibility is shared among many people, individuals are less likely to intervene. Inaction can allow harm to continue. Zimbardo emphasizes that evil often thrives not only because of perpetrators, but because of passive observers. He further explains how institutional culture can normalize deviance. When harmful practices become routine, they lose their shock value. New members adapt to existing norms rather than challenging them. Over time, systems create environments where cruelty feels ordinary. Changing behavior requires changing systems. However, the Lucifer Effect is not a message of despair. Zimbardo introduces the concept of the heroic imagination. Just as situations can encourage cruelty, they can also inspire courage. Heroism is not limited to extraordinary individuals. It can be cultivated. When people are aware of situational pressures, they are more likely to resist them. Zimbardo argues that teaching critical thinking, ethical reflection, and awareness of social influence strengthens moral resilience. Preparation matters. When individuals anticipate pressure, they are better equipped to respond with integrity. Practicing small acts of courage builds the capacity for larger ones. The book also emphasizes accountability in institutions. Transparent systems, clear rules, and shared responsibility reduce the likelihood of abuse. Systems must be designed to prevent concentration of unchecked power. Leadership plays a crucial role in shaping ethical culture. Zimbardo highlights the importance of identity. When individuals strongly identify with ethical values and moral communities, they are less likely to conform to harmful norms. Social support strengthens moral courage. Surrounding yourself with people who value integrity increases the likelihood of ethical action. The Lucifer Effect also addresses the danger of labeling people as permanently evil. Dehumanizing perpetrators can prevent understanding and reform. Recognizing the situational forces behind behavior allows for prevention and rehabilitation rather than pure punishment. Understanding does not excuse harm, but it informs better solutions. The deeper message of the book is that human nature contains both potential for cruelty and capacity for compassion. Which side emerges depends heavily on context. Understanding this duality fosters humility. It reminds us that we are not immune to situational influence. Zimbardo ultimately calls for vigilance. Awareness of social pressures, authority influence, groupthink, and institutional design is essential for preserving ethical behavior. Evil is not only an individual problem, it is often systemic. Changing systems changes outcomes. The big takeaway from the Lucifer Effect is both unsettling and empowering. Ordinary people can commit extraordinary harm under certain conditions, but ordinary people can also demonstrate extraordinary courage. The difference often lies in awareness, accountability, preparation, and moral imagination. So, which idea from the Lucifer Effect challenges you the most? The power of situations, the influence of authority, the danger of dehumanization, or the possibility of cultivating everyday heroism? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this summary, like this video, subscribe to 10-Minute Books, and tap the bell so you never miss our weekly deep dives into life-changing books. Remember, understanding the forces that shape behavior is the first step toward resisting them.